The ratings are in for Wednesday's edition of AEW Dynamite on TBS. The NXT Tag Team Championships are successfully defended last night on TNA Impact. Josh Alexander will have his final TNA match next week on Impact. A new number one contender for the Knockouts World Championship is confirmed in a match that sees Jazz return to the ring. NXT superstar Tyson DuPont competes on TNA Impact last night. Several matches are set for next week's edition of Impact on Access TV. NXT General Manager Ava reportedly is in line for a big push in WWE. Matches from the 2025 Jericho Cruise are set to air on Ring of Honor television next week. The Royal Rumble was the most watched WWE premium live event of all time last weekend. Alexa Bliss signs with a Hollywood talent agency, and an update on the start time of WrestleMania 41. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with the ratings for Wednesday's edition of AEW Dynamite on TBS. Now, of course, as the days continued to count down to AEW Grand Slam Australia as well as AEW Revolution, AEW sought to build momentum towards their international special with the February 5th episode of AEW Dynamite. Despite offering an exciting card that featured Swerve Strickland, Jon Moxley, Tony Storm, and rated FTR, Wednesday's episode of Dynamite did not see any uptick in week-to-week engagement and ultimately contributed to negative long-term trends in the television ratings department. Per WrestleNomics, the February 5th episode of Dynamite attracted 605,000 viewers and a 0.17 rating in the 18 to 49 category. Wednesday's numbers were consistent with the January 29th episode of Dynamite, which saw 604,000 total viewers and a similar 0.17 18 to 49 rating. Dynamite was the number 6 program on cable in the 18 to 49 category during Wednesday's primetime hours and mostly competed with NBA and Fox News programming. Despite consistent week-to-week numbers, Wednesday's episode of Dynamite contributed to a long-term negative trend in overall ratings. Dynamite's February 5th episode drew in 5% less viewers than the past 4 weeks, and 2025's Q1 average for average Dynamite viewership is down 23% compared to last year's Q1 viewership. Dynamite is seeing 26% less viewers in February 2025 than the program did in February 2024. Dynamite's declining trends are perhaps more drastic in the key 18 to 49 demographic. Wednesday's episode of Dynamite drew 6% less viewers than the past 4 weeks, and 2025's Q1 average in the key demo is down 39% compared to last year. When comparing key demo performances from February 2025 and 2024, there is a 41% decrease in average key demo ratings. It is to be noted that these numbers, while mostly negative, are solely based off the TBS rankings provided by Nielsen sources and do not include the data from viewership on Max, of course, which is simulcast on the streaming platform. Now, of course, last night it was TNA Impact on Access TV, and the relationship between TNA and WWE NXT continues, and Fraxium is fine. In the main event of the February 6th episode of TNA Impact, Nathan Frazer and Axiom successfully defended the NXT Tag Team Championships against Ryan Nemeth and Nick Nemeth, formerly known as Dolph Ziggler in WWE. Now, as is kind of always the case in these matches with Fraxium, but instead of actually being the NXT Tag Team Champions, there was a miscommunication with the brother duo towards the end of the match. Ryan Nemeth attempted to use a steel chair on Axiom, but older brother Nick Nemeth stopped him. This allowed Frazer to take out Nick and pin Ryan after a missile dropkick and leg sweep total elimination. The NXT Tag Team Champions spoke about their victory in a TNA digital exclusive after the match finished. Now, when it comes to TNA Impact, there is going to be a pretty historic match next week, possibly the final ever TNA match of Josh Alexander. Josh Alexander will face Eric Young on the February 13th episode of TNA Impact. The match is being billed as Alexander's final match in Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. Alexander is set to be a free agent on February 15th when his TNA contract expires. Alexander has been with TNA since 2019. He is a former 2-time TNA World Champion, 2-time TNA Tag Team Champion, and TNA X Division Champion too. Now, number one contender has been crowned for the Knockouts World Championship. Savannah Evans has earned a shot at the TNA Knockouts World Championship on the February 6th episode of TNA Impact. Evans won a Knockouts Battle Royal, last eliminating Zaya Brookside with a headbutt as they both battled on the apron. Evans will face Masha Slamovich for the TNA Knockouts World Championship on the February 13th episode of Impact. Now, in this match, we saw the return of a pro wrestling legend. Jazz returned to in-ring competition during the Knockouts Battle Royal. She made her return to the ring on the February 6th episode of TNA Impact. Jazz was part of the Knockouts Battle Royal to crown a new #1 contender for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. Jazz was ultimately eliminated by Ash by Elegance and Rosemary. Now, this was Jazz's first match since 2021. She last wrestled on TNA television on the April 15th, 2021 episode of TNA Impact, teaming with Jordynne Grace to defeat Fire and Flavor, which is Kira Hogan and Tasha Steelz. Now, continuing with this relationship between WWE and TNA, we saw an NXT superstar in action last night. The NXT and TNA relationship continued on February 6th. NXT superstar Tyson DuPont competed in a rare singles bout on television as he faced former TNA X Division champion Ace Austin on the February 6th TNA Impact. While he put up a good fight, Ace Austin ended up getting the victory with the fold. After the match, Tyson DuPont, Wesley, and Tariq Igwe tried to jump Ace Austin. However, the Rascals made the save and fought off the NXT talent. Now, Joe Hendry, he'll be defending his World Championship next week, for several other matches being set for the show. The card for the February 13th, 2025 episode of TNA Impact begins to take shape. It was announced during the February 6th episode of TNA Impact that Joe Hendry will defend the TNA World Heavyweight Championship against Jake Something. Also, Frankie Kazarian will go one-on-one with Sami Callihan. Masha Slamovich will defend her Knockouts World Championship, the TNA Knockouts World title, against Savannah Evans. Evans earned the opportunity, as I mentioned, by winning that Knockouts Battle Royal last night. Cora Jade was ringside for the match. And speaking of Jade, the NXT superstar will take on Xia Brookside after several weeks of tension. Of course, this is in addition to the previously announced match between Josh Alexander and Eric Young, which is being billed as Alexander's final match in Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. Now, continuing to talk about WWE NXT, is there a push in line for the general manager Ava? Well, NXT general manager Ava could be used more prominently on television moving forward, according to a new report. During a recent edition of WrestleVotes Radio, WrestleVotes noted that WWE planned to use Ava more in the future, saying, quote, "Creative has begun putting plans in motion for NXT general manager and, of course, real-life daughter of The Rock, Ava, to be featured more prominently on TV, as well as have merchandise and character ties to her father, alluding to his final boss persona. We are told plans could include her playing off the final boss character on TV as a way to raise her importance. Ava, from all accounts, is well liked and could have a big future with the company." Now, Ava signed with WWE in 2020 and debuted on NXT television in 2023. Initially a wrestler aligned with the Schism, she soon transitioned into her current non-wrestling role. Ava was involved in a backstage segment with her father when The Rock appeared on the January 7th episode of the show. Ava may yet interact with Jordynne Grace, with the former TNA Knockouts World Champion set to spend some time in NXT after signing with WWE. Now, going over to Ring of Honor here, and several matches have been announced for next week. Chris Jericho is known for many things. He's a wrestler, he has his own rock band, he's a best-selling author. He's also the creator of the rock and wrestling Rager at Sea, a cruise ship experience like no other, as stars from around the world get to perform in a place not many wrestlers can claim to have performed, the middle of the ocean. The 2025 edition of what many people commonly call the Jericho Cruise recently wrapped up on February 3rd, and for fans who might want to see what the fuss was all about, Ring of Honor on Honor Club is here to help. During the February 6th edition of ROH on Honor Club, it was announced that matches from the 2025 trip will air on the February 13th episode. As far as what matches will hit the airwaves next week, that is still yet to be decided, but there is a variety of bouts that they can choose from AEW stars like Will Ospreay, Timeless Tony Storm, and Jericho himself, all wrestling multiple times during the week-long experience. The February 13th episode of ROH on Honor Club will also feature the stars of CMLL in an all-star Lucha Tag Team match, and Commander defending the Ring of Honor World Television Championship against Lee Johnson. Now, this won't be the first time that the cruise ship has appeared on television, with the most notable example being the January 22nd, 2020 episode of AEW Dynamite that was taped on the cruise and featured a number of high-profile moments. Jon Moxley earned his first shot at the AEW World Championship, then held by Jericho. Kenny Omega and Hangman Page defeated SCU to become the AEW Tag Team Champions, and the Young Bucks pushed Maxwell Jacob Friedman into a swimming pool despite MJF claiming that he couldn't swim. Now, the Royal Rumble last weekend was a very noteworthy and newsworthy event, and it was also a very, very successful one for WWE. Due to WWE's major shows airing on Peacock in the United States and on Netflix in many international markets, WWE Royal Rumble 2025 was reportedly the most watched pay-per-view/premium live event in company history. That is according to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, who said, quote, "This was the most watched Royal Rumble around the world in history, and actually the most watched WWE pay-per-view event ever in history. So more people watched this Royal Rumble than watched any night of WrestleMania ever, let alone any Royal Rumble ever." That record will be broken at WrestleMania, but it was, in fact, the all-time record. Now, WWE programming moved to Netflix in many international territories, including the United Kingdom, at the beginning of 2025. WWE PLEs have aired on Peacock since 2021 and will continue to do so until at least March 2026. Royal Rumble 2025 was the joint 14th most watched show on Netflix between January 27th and February 2nd. Drawing 2.1 million views, the Rumble was a top 10 show in 27 countries and finished at number 1 in Mexico and Bolivia. WWE announced Royal Rumble 2025 was the most watched show in the event's history. In the United States, the company announced Royal Rumble viewership was up nearly 14% from last year's record-setting Rumble. Now, Alexa Bliss, she made her return in the Women's Royal Rumble match, and she reportedly has signed with a major Hollywood agency. Earlier this week, reports indicated that Alexa Bliss inked a new 5-year contract with WWE. Days later, it seems that Bliss has now agreed another kind of contract. According to Deadline, the former WWE Raw Women's Champion has signed with the Paradigm Talent Agency, which will help her further expand her professional career outside the professional wrestling realm. Despite this, the outlet adds that Bliss will continue to be represented by Michael Garnett at Leverage Management and attorneys Mark Cabrera and Dan Abrams of Posinelli PC. Bliss, real name Alexis Kaufman, is no stranger to non-wrestling ventures, as she notably appeared on The Masked Singer, The Weakest Link, Walk the Plank, and Apple TV Plus's Carpool Karaoke as herself. As the character of Alexa Bliss, she surfaced in Season 1 of Peacock's Punky Brewster revival series. Currently, she lends her voice to the character of Obigaro in Netflix's anime series Sakamoto Days, specifically for its English version. Elsewhere, she voiced Maki Ueda in Netflix's The Queen of Villains series. With this latest agreement, Bliss joins the long list of WWE superstars to recently sign with Paradigm, including CM Punk, WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton, Damian Priest, Jade Cargill, and Liv Morgan, the latter of whom eliminated Bliss from the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble. Bliss's outing at the Royal Rumble marked her official return to WWE, as she spent extra time away on maternity leave after giving birth to her first daughter in November 2023. Prior to that, she last wrestled at the 2023 Royal Rumble in a losing effort to then Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair. And finally, bit of an update here when it comes to the start time of WrestleMania 41. WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas, Nevada is inching closer and closer, with each day passing as the card appears to take shape. While nothing is confirmed, the two-night events look set to feature several marquee matches, including possibly John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns facing off in a three-way match, Jey Uso versus Gunther, Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton, Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. But one mystery still remains: when will the show start? On Thursday morning edition of Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer appeared to answer the start time question, at least in regards to night 1 of WrestleMania on Saturday. Quote, "WrestleMania is going to start maybe as early as 3 in the afternoon," Meltzer said. And the start time for WrestleMania's first day does have an interesting wrinkle to it, as the event is to be preceded by NXT Stand and Deliver, which is set to take place about a mile away in the T-Mobile Arena. Meltzer noted that this has presented a bit of a problem regarding getting fans from one show to the other, and was a reason why there was still wiggle room for Mania start time to be moved. Quote, "It is not finalized, so they'll have to finalize it," Meltzer said, "but the idea of noon and 3 Pacific time as the start times for NXT and WrestleMania, it's not out of the picture, but I don't see how you can do it that way. It might be 11 and 3, maybe 12 and 4. They're working it out, but I think the original idea was noon and 3. Of course, we get any more details on that, we'll let you know in a future video. But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.